The enemy of the people was how the President of the United States called the free press in 2017.
A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
The press are enemies of the people? Enemies of the people are a phrase that comes from Stalin. It was used by the Soviets. Enemies of the people were sent to the Gulag or were executed. The fact is, the press is not the enemy of the people. This is a very deliberate attempt to train the American people not to believe anything they hear except from the president, except from the administration.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 I'm just wondering, what do you do when somebody hands you a script and your general manager says, as some of these did, here's a script, you have to read it. You have no choice. If you don't read it, I get fired. What do you do?
Well, I think that, for some of the people in those boxes that we saw who might be starting out, there may be a pass given, but I don't understand reading that. I don't understand reading that, just acting it out like they did. Those were seasoned journalists.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This was a disgrace across the board on the part of the journalists involved who were acting out a script rather than understanding and the perspective of the news and pushing back.
I was going to ask, what if you were a first or second year person at Hartford, but chances are good if they're on air, they've been there a while.
Those were a lot of very seasoned journalists and some people starting out. And in many cases, those were the journalists who are the highest paid in the market. I noticed a lot of men who were maybe in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Those are the highest paid journalists in the market by far.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
And it was ripped, Nick, straight out of the playbook of Donald Trump, which is attack mainstream media, talk about fake news.
Trump TV found a home on Donald Trump's Facebook page during the campaign. It never really broadened beyond that page, and when Trump actually won the election, Trump TV kind of fizzled out. But now, Trump TV is back in more ways than one. For one, the Facebook videos are back. They're being paid for by Trump's re-election campaign and filmed at Trump Tower. They're being produced to look like short news updates that are anchored by presidential daughter-in-law Lara Trump, wife of Eric, who insists that she's giving you the, quote, real news.
Hey everybody, Lara Trump here. I bet you haven't heard about all the accomplishments the president had this week because there's so much fake news out there. We wanted to give you a glimpse into his week.
That's the real news. And now Sinclair's about to expand its reach even further through a new deal that they're pursuing, which once it goes through, will allow Sinclair stations to reach 72% of all U.S. households nationwide. That's beyond the reach that the FCC typically allows. But luckily for Sinclair, they've got a friend in the government, specifically the FCC. Ajit Pai, the man handpicked by Donald Trump to be the FCC chairman. You may know Mr. Pai as the person who is trying to kill net neutrality. Well, he's also the guy bending the rules that will ensure Sinclair can reach 3/4 of the country with their pro-Trump, bottom line with Boris messaging.
Sinclair also sends out packages on the news of the day, often with a pro-Trump spin, for local news anchors to read word for word.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 When a figure in power reflexively calls any press that doesn't suit him fake news, it is that person who should be the figure of suspicion, not the press.
It's fake news. 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 It's fake. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news.
In February, Syrian President Bashar Assad brushed off an Amnesty International report that some 13,000 people had been killed in one of his military prisons by saying, "You can forge anything these days. We're living in a fake news era." In the Philippines, President Rodrigo Duterte has complained of being demonized by fake news. Last month, the report continues, with our president, quote, laughing by his side, Duterte called reporters spies. In July, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro complained to Russian propaganda outlet that the world media has spread lots of false versions, lots of lies about his country, adding, "This is what we call fake news today, isn't it?"
And I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake.
Mr. President, let us be clear, the impulses underlying the dissemination of such untruths are not benign. They have the effect of eroding trust in our vital institutions and conditioning the public to no longer trust them.
That was just fake news by NBC, which gives a lot of fake news lately. That's just made up. And then they have their sources that don't exist. In my opinion, they don't exist.